You have $70,000 saved, a baby, and a stable income. Do you sink your liquidity into a 20% down payment, locking in a 30-year mortgage to secure physical equity in a permanent family home? Or do you embrace mobility, renting a 2-bedroom apartment, keeping your overhead low, and aggressively pumping that exact same capital into the stock market? Two paths from the exact same starting line. Marcus chooses physical equity. The psychological payoff is immense. He secures forced savings and absolute territorial control. His $60,000 down payment now controls a $300,000 asset. The leverage multiplier is immediately activated. Elena chooses liquid mobility. Her rent is only $1,300, safely below 30% of their income. She automates an $800 monthly transfer straight into an S&P 500 ETF, frictionlessly buying global equity with her massive cash flow surplus. For Marcus, stability breeds peace of mind. There are no landlords to suddenly terminate a lease. He can customize the space for his growing family without asking permission, rooting his identity deeply into the community.
Elena enjoys total geographic agility. When a career opportunity arises across the city, she isn't anchored by a 30-year debt obligation or the frictional cost of selling real estate. Her capital adapts to her life instantly. Marcus benefits from inflation-eroded debt. While his property appreciates at 3.5% annually, his fixed mortgage payment loses real value over time. Every month, his $2,100 payment slowly shifts wealth from the bank back onto his personal balance sheet. Elena harnesses the raw power of compounding. Her $60,000 base, plus $800 monthly, grows tax efficiently. There are no closing costs or broker commissions eating her returns. It is pure passive wealth accumulation requiring zero physical labor. The social capital of homeownership validates Marcus. Society universally rewards his choice. He builds deep neighborhood networks, and his fixed housing costs provide a psychological anchor, isolating him from the anxiety of rising rental markets. Elena is perfectly insulated from operational drag. When the roof leaks or the HVAC fails, it is a management problem, not a financial crisis. Her emergency fund remains untouched, preserving her cognitive bandwidth entirely. Marcus unlocks structural tax advantages. He deducts the mortgage interest, lowering his effective tax burden. The government subsidizes his leverage, marginally improving the heavy 46% debt-to-income ratio he carries every single month. Elena holds the ultimate trump card, extreme liquidity. If a massive emergency or a sudden market opportunity strikes, her wealth is accessible in 48 hours. She can deploy capital instantly without taking on expensive debt or desperately selling a physical asset at a discount. But the physical path demands a harsh toll. Operational drag hits Marcus early. A sudden $1,200 water heater failure consumes his cash. He realizes his property appreciation is heavily diluted by relentless maintenance costs. Elena faces the landlord's tax. Her low fixed costs aren't permanent. A 4% rent bump forces her to adjust her budget. She realizes her investment portfolio must continuously outperform the rising cost of living to survive. Marcus suffers from extreme illiquidity. He is house rich but cash poor. 85% of his net worth is locked in drywall and concrete. His massive $2,100 fixed monthly payment restricts his ability to invest elsewhere, limiting true diversification. Elena confronts sequence of returns risk. The market drops 12%. Because her assets are marked to market daily on a glowing screen, the psychological urge to panic sell is a violent, emotional battle testing her core discipline. The sunk cost fallacy traps Marcus. A house is a relentless consumer of time and energy. His weekends and evenings are swallowed by endless maintenance and planning, severely reducing the human capital and deep focus he could otherwise invest into advancing his career. Elena fights the phantom wealth comparison. While other parents proudly display their visible real estate milestones, Elena's massive wealth is entirely invisible. She constantly battles the heavy societal stigma that raising a family in a rental is somehow throwing money away or failing to provide stability. Marcus discovers the friction of exit. If a crisis forced him to sell, broker commissions and closing costs would instantly vaporize tens of thousands of dollars of equity. His perceived safety net is heavily gated by transaction fees. Elena's strategy demands flawless execution. Without the forced savings mechanism of a mortgage, lifestyle creep will destroy her math. If she stops investing that $800 surplus, the mobility path mathematically fails against the leverage of homeownership. Marcus feels the systemic weight. A minor medical copay exposes the danger of his 46% debt-to-income ratio. His margin of error is razor thin. One missed paycheck threatens the entire foundation of his leveraged physical empire. Elena faces the intangible cost of impermanence. As her child grows, the lack of a permanent, controlled environment creates low-grade anxiety. She questions the emotional cost of trading deep physical roots for maximum financial velocity. Year 4. Marcus's forced savings mechanism quietly builds equity while his family physically inhabits the investment. His toddler's first steps happen on floors he owns. The emotional return on homeownership compounds alongside the financial one. Elena's automated system runs silently in the background while she focuses on motherhood. $800 enters the market monthly without her lifting a finger. The compounding engine works while she plays with her child. The social capital of homeownership pays dividends for the entire family. Marcus's child grows up surrounded by the same neighborhood friends year after year. Deep community roots form naturally. This stability cannot be purchased on a stock exchange. Elena leverages rental flexibility for her family. She strategically rents in a top-tier school district she could never afford to purchase property in. Her child accesses elite education while she preserves capital for compounding growth. But weekends increasingly belong to the house, not the family. Minor repairs stack up relentlessly. Every Sunday Marcus spends under his sink is a Sunday not spent at the park with his child. The opportunity cost of maintenance is measured in missed moments. Elena's strategy requires flawless budget execution. Without a mortgage forcing savings, every dollar must be consciously directed. Childcare costs, groceries, and rising living expenses constantly threaten to cannibalize her sacred $800 monthly investment habit. 5 years in, the leverage multiplier delivers. Marcus's property appreciates significantly, inflating his family's net worth on paper. The forced savings mechanism quietly converted tens of thousands of debt into tangible equity without requiring any behavioral willpower. Elena's portfolio crosses 6 figures. The compounding curve begins its visible acceleration phase. Dividends now generate enough passive income to cover an entire month of groceries for her family, silently reinforcing the mathematical thesis. But liquidity remains Marcus's blind spot. His family's net worth is impressive on paper, yet the checking account stays dangerously thin. 85% of his wealth is locked inside drywall, inaccessible without selling or borrowing against the house. The emotional cost of renting surfaces through the child. Friendships form and dissolve as families around her rotate through lease cycles. Elena wonders if optimizing for financial velocity is quietly extracting a toll on her child's sense of belonging. Year 7, the shocks arrive. A dead water heater floods the basement. Marcus faces a $1,200 emergency with barely enough in reserves. The house demands immediate cash to sustain basic family livability. No landlord to call. The landlord's tax arrives. A 5% rent hike disrupts Elena's carefully calibrated family budget. Her fixed cost immunity was always an illusion. She must absorb the increase or uproot her child from the current school and neighborhood. Property taxes climb alongside the home's value. The county claims a larger slice of Marcus's fixed income every year. His mortgage payment is locked, but the total cost of ownership quietly inflates, squeezing the family's monthly discretionary budget tighter. Elena refuses the rent hike and exercises her mobility option, but this time, the cost is not just financial. Her child watches the only bedroom they knew get packed into boxes. Flexibility has a human price that spreadsheets never capture. Operational drag compounds. Every seasonal cycle brings new maintenance demands. Marcus calculates that hidden ownership costs, repairs, insurance hikes, property taxes, have quietly consumed nearly 40% of his theoretical equity gains over the past 7 years. The rent increase triggers a difficult conversation with her partner. Rising childcare costs combined with higher rent force the family to revisit every budget line. The discipline required to protect the investment surplus strains the household's patience. A routine medical copay exposes Marcus's razor-thin margin of error. With a 46% debt-to-income ratio, one missed paycheck or one more unexpected bill could crack the financial foundation supporting his entire family. A market correction vaporizes months of gains overnight. Elena's family net worth drops sharply on a glowing screen. The psychological violence of watching her child's college fund shrink in real time tests every fiber of her long-term conviction. Despite every shock, the house endures. Marcus arrives home to warmth, permanence, and the sound of his child playing inside. The tangible, immovable reality of physical shelter provides a psychological anchor no brokerage statement can replicate. Elena tucks her child into a new bedroom for the third time in 7 years. The portfolio survived the crash and will recover, but she quietly asks herself a question no financial model can answer. What is the compound interest rate on a child's sense of home? Year 9. The macro environment shifts. Interest rates surge. Marcus breathes relief. His fixed-rate mortgage locks him safely below the storm. New buyers are priced out, reducing future competition. His early decision to lock in cheap debt now looks strategically brilliant. Inflation hits Elena's family from every angle. Groceries, childcare, utilities all climb relentlessly. Unlike Marcus's locked mortgage, Elena's entire cost of living is variable. She must continuously earn more just to maintain her family's current standard of living. High interest rates freeze the housing market. Transaction volume collapses. Marcus's home is worth more on paper, but finding a buyer willing to pay that price at current rates is nearly impossible. His equity becomes increasingly theoretical. Elena's salary growth hits a ceiling. Her annual raise barely matches inflation, let alone exceeds it. The mathematical engine of her strategy depends entirely on income outpacing expenses. When that gap shrinks, the compounding machine slows dangerously. Insurance premiums surge alongside property values and climate risk repricing. Marcus's total housing costs, mortgage, taxes, insurance, maintenance, now exceeds what he originally budgeted by over 30%. The fixed mortgage was never the full picture. A prolonged bear market grinds Elena's portfolio down 18% over 12 months. Unlike a house that hides its value decline behind walls, every dollar lost stares back at her from a screen while she helps her child with homework. Marcus explores a home equity line of credit to consolidate costs. The appraiser notes deferred maintenance. He learns that accessing his own equity requires spending money to prove the house deserves it. Trapped wealth demands a toll to unlock. Elena considers buying for the first time, but current mortgage rates have doubled since Marcus locked in his deal. The same house Marcus bought for $2,000 a month would now cost $3,500. The window of cheap leverage has closed. A decade of ownership reveals the true cost structure. Marcus and his wife calculate total expenditures: mortgage payments, taxes, insurance, repairs, and lost investment returns on the down payment. The all-in cost of ownership is far heavier than the original mortgage alone. A decade of renting reveals Elena's structural exposure. She has built impressive liquid wealth, but real estate prices have outrun her savings rate. The longer she waits, the more expensive the option to switch paths becomes. Flexibility has an expiration date. Provider fatigue sets in. Marcus carries the silent weight of a 30-year obligation every night. The house is supposed to represent security, but the relentless financial pressure of maintaining it for his family slowly erodes his sleep and his peace of mind. Comparison anxiety hits Elena at a social gathering. Friends proudly share renovation photos and homeowner milestones. Elena's wealth is invisible, stored in digital numbers. She battles the quiet societal stigma that renting at her age signals failure. Marcus encounters his own comparison trap. Friends who rent post-family vacations he cannot afford. His cash flow is consumed by the house. He wonders if owning the walls around his family quietly stole the experiences they could have shared together. Elena's child starts at a third school in 8 years. The drawing of old friends hits harder than any rent increase. Elena realizes that optimizing for financial returns has a compound emotional cost on the person she is doing all of this for. Financial tension reaches the marriage. Marcus and his wife argue quietly about priorities. She wants a family vacation. He insists the roof repair comes first. The house, meant to unite the family, becomes the source of a slow, grinding friction between them. But then, a small moment of clarity. His child has a best friend 3 doors down. They have played together for 5 consecutive years. Marcus realizes this kind of deep-rooted childhood bond is something his balance sheet never measured, but his family deeply values. Moving fatigue accumulates. Each relocation costs emotional energy that no spreadsheet tracks. Elena sits in another new living room, another blank wall, and feels the weight of impermanence. Financial freedom, she learns, does not automatically mean emotional freedom. The market recovers. Elena's portfolio not only rebounds, but surges past previous highs. The mathematical thesis holds. She exhales, knowing that the brutal discipline of staying invested through the crash protected her family's future purchasing power. Marcus feels the accumulated fatigue of a decade of ownership. The house has taken his weekends, his cash reserves, and tested his marriage. He questions if the American dream was designed to build wealth for families or to keep them perpetually maintaining it. Elena finds peace in a small moment. Her child leans against her in a bookstore, unbothered by which apartment they live in. She realizes that home for a child is not an address, it is a person. The portfolio quietly grows in the background. Year 12, financial maturity arrives. Marcus finally opens a brokerage account. He recognizes that concentrating 100% of his family's wealth inside a single illiquid asset was never diversification. It was a bet. He begins redirecting small monthly surpluses into index funds. Elena seriously considers buying for the first time. A decade of renting has shown her the emotional toll on her family. She weighs whether a small strategic property purchase could provide her child with permanent roots without destroying her liquid portfolio. Marcus learns to delegate. He hires help for maintenance instead of sacrificing every weekend. The cost is real, but reclaiming Saturdays for his family proves more valuable than saving $100 on a gutter repair. Elena gets pre-qualified. She runs the numbers carefully. Instead of draining her entire portfolio for a down payment, she plans to use only 20% of her liquid wealth, keeping the compounding engine alive while finally giving her child a permanent address. Marcus's small investment account grows quietly alongside his property equity. For the first time, his family's wealth is split across two asset classes. The diversification provides a psychological relief he never expected. He finally sleeps better. Elena buys a modest townhouse, not a financial fortress, but a home. Her child paints the bedroom wall any color they choose for the first time. The portfolio still compounds in the background, but now the family has roots and returns. Interest rates dip. Marcus refinances, cutting his monthly payment by $280. He and his wife agree immediately. Every saved dollar goes straight into their new investment account. The house finally starts feeding the portfolio instead of starving it. Elena's child makes a friend next door, a real, lasting, geography-based friendship. Elena watches from the back door and feels something her portfolio never generated: stillness. The emotional dividend of permanence begins compounding quietly inside her family. Marcus reviews his family's net worth. Home equity dominates, but the investment bar grows visibly each quarter. He finally understands the lesson. Real estate builds wealth through leverage and discipline, but only diversification builds true financial resilience. Elena reviews her rebalanced portfolio. Stocks still dominate. Home equity now provides a stabilizing anchor. She owns both liquidity and permanence. The path that began as a pure renter's thesis has matured into a hybrid strategy built on 12 years of hard-earned wisdom. Two paths. One chose physical leverage, accepting illiquidity and operational drag in exchange for forced savings and deep roots. The other chose liquid velocity, accepting impermanence and psychological warfare in exchange for agility and compounding power. In the end, both converge toward the same truth: no single asset class builds a complete life. Now the question is yours. If you had $70,000, a young family, and one decision, would you lock it into a house or unleash it into the market? Drop your answer in the comments. Option A, buy. Option B, invest. There is no wrong answer, only trade-offs. Thank you for watching. If this video changed the way you think about money, hit subscribe and share it with someone facing the same decision. See you in the next video.